Rakyat coming together under one banner. So I need to pass the DAP Kadala, coming together into one slogan with one voice for the next election. What are the hurdles you've got to overcome to achieve that?
Thank you. Question number 2, please.
What's the group's opinion on capital punishment? That hasn't really been addressed. It's more about the voting, I say, but I think the ultimate thing, that fear that there still is capital punishment. And if you're under ISA, what's the worst that can happen is you're under treason, charged with treason, and sentenced to death. And capital punishment for me is a big personal safety issue within the country.
Thank you. Question number 3, please.
It's quite encouraging and soothing to hear that Pakatan is multiracial, fight for injustice, and so on and so forth. But in reality, it seems to be the other way around. Because I'd like to quote some example. It might has a racial connotation, but that's a fact. And I have to ask this. Recently, there are a lot of Indian students who got 7 A's, 10 A's, and so on. None of them were given the matriculation studies, whatever they call that. And none of the Pakatan MPs had the courage to raise this matter in Parliament. As a multiracial party, I think this is a big issue. Injustice, these poor students. I have a lot of examples, but I'd like to stop there and let's see what the panel's opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question, please.
My question is that process in place. Is that right?
That's what, yes.
Is there a process in place in the next election that make sure that, if we vote for Pakatan Rakyat and Pakatan Rakyat will win, Pakatan Rakyat will be the government rather than PN, because it seems to me in Malaysia right now, a lot of the candidates that we select are more interested to be coached by PN rather than share to the value of Pakatan Rakyat. Because we don't want another Perak to happen again where we vote for Pakatan Rakyat but PN comes into parliament.
Thank you. So, the first question, which is effectively about Pakatan Rakyat coming together and being with one voice. Dr. Zahid, would you like to start off with that? The mic, sir.
Yeah, we are already speaking one voice. We are more united than there is a national. As you can see, we are a consensus mechanism in the leadership to discuss it. You don't get that as a national. I'm not decided who's actually the president. I'm not decided how many seats and IC should get. See, people always, you have to see it in that context. You know that I think for a new coalition, we are already more united than by side in many ways. And because we are consensus type of party, obviously you have more discussions and things like that. As far as the formal legislation is concerned, that depends on the government of the day. We have submitted our application to be formally recognized as one, with one simple, one objective. But as you know, we have submitted the last 8 months, and I don't think they will approve it because they see this as a strength. Not. So I think as far as we are able to do in terms of getting policies together, discussions on many issues, we are doing that. And it will be ongoing.
Thank you. So the second question is about capital punishment. Dr. Kamarudin, would you like to perhaps answer that question, sir? Or Dr. Hatta?
The former alumni.
The question was about capital punishment and what the thoughts are of Pakatan Rakyat in terms of personal safety ultimately. Is that correct? Yeah. In a corrupt, with a corrupt legal system, how can you be sure that it's not going to be misused? And ultimately, I think you have an objection to capital punishment. What are the thoughts of Pakatan Rakyat and of PAS ultimately about capital punishment? Yeah, I think that's working.
Thank you, David, and thank you for asking us on this issue of capital punishment. I would actually be more comfortable looking at the whole judiciary system from a holistic perspective, which is whether we are having a really independent judiciary presently, whether judicial reforms that we have been proposing on a very broad basis have taken place at all, whether the appointment and selection and promotion of judges are going on according to what we propose it to be, despite the passing of new laws on the Judicial Appointment Commission and Committee, rather than honestly going into very specific issues like capital punishment. For that, I personally would put this capital punishment and some other aspects of Malaysian law within the perspective of the need, first of all, to achieve a genuine development of independent judiciary that will allow even seemingly severe laws or unequal laws a better treatment by the judges. But until we reach that level, I'm afraid, I think not only capital punishment, but a lot of other laws are also, in a way, creating a situation in Malaysia which I think leaves very much more to be desired. So I'm not very sure that I can answer that in a very direct manner. Sorry.
Can I help you on that question? Under the Malaysian Internal Security Act, there are specific provisions that provide for the death sentence. There are equally provisions that allow for detention. Never will they use the detention provisions to hang anyone, but they will use the specific provisions under the Internal Security Act to hang you if, for example, you have a gun in your hands. So there are sections that cover hanging and there are sections that cover detention. The general one, which is abused liberally, generally, and extensively, is the one that covers detention. If you recollect, there was a gentleman called Nalakarutan. You remember him, or you may not remember him. He was picked up during the Anwar crisis in 1998 for allegedly possession of firearms in his house. What they decided was they were going to charge him under the Internal Security Act with a view to strengthen him with the death sentence so that he would implicate Anwar. But what eventually happened to him was they could not take that forward, because if you charge somebody under the Internal Security Act for a possible offense against the death sentence, you will have to go to court. There will be a trial. Whereas for detention, you do not require a trial. And that's how the Act is abused and used in Malaysia.
I'd just like to add that right now there's an ongoing petition in Parliament for the flight of a 22-year-old Malaysian in Singapore that has been sentenced to be hanged by the Singaporean courts. And what's happening is his appeal is not even being heard. So right now, YB Batu specifically is going to meet up with the Foreign Ministry to at least plead the case for the Malaysian lawyer to at least have his appeal heard before the Singaporean courts proceed with the hanging. So I think there are cases that we are willing to work on for the short term, but in the long term, it's going to be focused on the issue of reforming the judiciary and looking at the basic acts, especially the Internal Security Act, and the ones that we have identified first and foremost before going to the nitty-gritty and the other laws governing it.
Thank you.